Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. So listen, guys, we are talking this morning about the headlines from, I think it was this morning or last night. Terror attack in the United Kingdom within days. That's what they're talking about. This comes from there was an MI6 agent embedded in one of these terror networks in the United Kingdom, and he did an interview. I think it was with, I'll share the article in a minute. I can't remember who it was with. He's talking about the the potential of a 9/11 type terror incident in the United Kingdom, and he's talking about hundreds of sleeper cells who are operating in the United Kingdom right now. That's what we're going to be talking about, guys. I've been warning about this for quite a while. It's very difficult for me to it's very difficult because the video will get taken down. So when I do these live streams and I've got something that says exactly what I've been saying, I will share it. Now, this is from, let me just share this with you guys. This is the article I'm going to be going with here, guys. And I know it's from The Sun, but the article's really good. So it's this guy, I think his name's Eamon Dean. This is the headline. In the shadows, I was immersed in London's terrorist underbelly as a sleeper agent, planned new 9/11. It's coming any day, says MI6 spy. So this is not me saying that there's a terrorist attack coming any day. This is this guy who was working undercover, like the headline says there, in London's terrorist underbelly, and he's saying it's coming any day. That's what he's saying. So this is the article I'm going to be working on today, guys, okay? So I will read a little bit of this, and then I'll go into my own stuff. So living with terrorist agents in London, Eamon Dean became kind of a spiritual coach to them, gaining unique access to the group's terrifying sphere of influence. There's a little video here. In fact, let's should we play it? Let's play it. What's happened? What have I done? So I'm just gonna I'm going to stop that there because I might get done. So let me take that down. So hundreds of sleeper agents living in the shadows of the UK are ready to unleash carnage. So these are the headlines and these are the warnings that he's giving. Now, if I came out and I give an inflammatory warning like that, I would get into a lot of trouble. So I'm just repeating what this guy's saying there. Okay, guys, look. Hundreds of sleeper agents living in the shadows of the United Kingdom are ready to unleash carnage. That's what he's saying, not me. A former MI6 spy has warned. Eamon Dean spent 8 years in the Secret Intelligence Service. So for those of you guys who don't know what the secret is, there's no such organization called MI6. There isn't one, all right? There is no organization called MI6. I don't know why people still use it. There really isn't an organization called MI6. What it is called is Secret Intelligence Service. Now, Secret Intelligence Service is the intelligence service within the United Kingdom who predominantly operate overseas. MI5 would be the one that operates inland UK. So Eamon Dean spent 8 years in the Secret Intelligence Service, forming close bonds with Al-Qaeda operatives and gaining exclusive insight into their insidious minds. His risky work for MI5 and MI6 helped foil a number of attempted terror attacks, including a plot to bomb the New York subway. Despite the Secret Intelligence Service valiant work, Dean told The Sun there are hundreds of enemy agents waiting in the shadows, ready to unleash carnage in the United Kingdom. It's not me saying this, guys. That is this guy here. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. I'll stop sharing that now. Let me just, before we get into this, guys, all right? I'm genuinely shocked and a little bit concerned why we've not had a big attack here in the United Kingdom. Only the other day, in fact, let me turn the chat on. Sorry, guys. Is that on? Yeah. Only the other day in the United Kingdom, we had in the United Kingdom the other day an article released where the biggest terror plot had been foiled. You had this guy, and I think there was there 3 of them? I think there was 2 guys and the brother. So there was 2 guys and the brother. They've been foiled. It was the biggest terror plot in the United Kingdom, and it had just been foiled. These guys were trying to make, were trying to get contact. These guys were trying to take charge of. As I understand it, they bought 2 AK-47s, I think 6 magazines, and hundreds of rounds. I don't know why you would buy hundreds of rounds. You can't really, if you can't put them in magazines, you don't need them. So. And one of the most chilling things that when we were watching the video, we were watching it together. One of the worst things that I saw on that was how these people justify attacks against children. Yep, they do. They justify attacks against children. And what they were saying is, the attacks against children are okay because those children are not infidels yet, and those children will go to heaven because they've not had the choice. Because the children have not had the choice to, convert to Islam, then those children are innocent, and they will go to heaven. So it's totally okay to do those attacks against children. And what kind of ideology? How do you defeat that ideology? Like how in my head, that's just wrong. That is totally wrong. Like, I wouldn't even consider that. Like, and anybody who says that to me, I would, intellectually challenge that thought process. But people do believe that, and people are under that, people are under that warped ideology. Now, whether you think these people are living in the United Kingdom or not, it's totally up to you guys. But I will present information to you guys now in the short form of a little monologue, and then we'll discuss it. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let's start with a couple of fundamentals. I'm going to talk about what is a sleeper cell, and then I'm going to ask you a question. And this, it's a straight up question. I don't know the answer. Then the question is this: so once I've described what a sleeper cell is, hang on. When I've described to you guys what a sleeper cell is, let me know, do you guys think there are any sleeper cells, operating in the United Kingdom? So, people need to understand you can't defeat someone if you don't understand what these terms are and what they are. Like last night on the live stream, I was arguing with somebody, and then they just vanished, and they were saying like, "Oh, it's a proxy war in Ukraine." And I was saying, "No, it can't. It's not a proxy war because one of the sides is already there. It's not a proxy war. No, and you're not arguing with me. You're literally arguing with the definitions, all right?" So, a sleeper cell is a covert group of operatives, often embedded deep within a society, who live ordinary, unassuming lives for years, blending seamlessly into communities as students, workers, or neighbors. And that's the definition of a sleeper cell. Now, here in the United Kingdom, guys, we have lots of people who we don't know who they are, and they're living in hotels, all right? They come over on boats. They don't need to show their passports. They don't need to show their identification. I'm going to put those guys in this category as well, okay? They could be. That's what I'm saying. It could be. And I'm asking you guys a question. Do you think there are any sleeper cells living in hotels? I don't know. They remain dormant like coiled springs, awaiting activation from their handlers to carry out acts of sabotage, espionage, and terrorism. These cells are designed for maximum impact with minimal detection, drawing on patience and deception as their greatest weapon. So that is a sleeper cell in a nutshell. In a relatively short explanation. That is what the question to you guys is: do you think there are any sleeper cells here in the United Kingdom? I would, I'll give you what I think afterwards. I want to talk now about a marauding terror attack. Now, this is what the UK government are calling it. For those of you guys who've been watching my live streams for a while, I used to, in old money, this would be a complicated terror attack. Now, the UK government, they're calling it a marauding terror attack. So this would be a brutal mobile assault where armed attackers roam through public spaces, streets, markets, events, gatherings, I don't know, any gathering of people, methodically seeking to cause damage, maim as many people, as many innocent people as possible. Think of the horror of a coordinated shooting, mass stabbing, vehicle rammings. You know, these were seen in the Paris attacks in 2015, I think it was. There was the Bataclan attacks. There was a similar attack in Russia in I think maybe last year or the year before. 2017 London Bridge attack, where perpetrators moved fluidly, amplifying chaos and overwhelming responders. Now, imagine this, guys. Imagine this is how, just for a complicated terror attack, imagine this is how it starts, right? Just say, for example, you know, I don't know, Manchester city centre. You get a guy, you get one man. He's part of this attack. This is total hypothetical, guys, okay? Total hypothetical. I'm just going to show you guys how much resources this is going to take up. Let's just say one guy in Manchester on, I don't know, New Year's Eve, locks himself in a block of flats and says he's got a hostage, he's got firearms, and he's got explosives. Let's just say that he does that. He's not got hostage, he's not got firearms, and he's not got explosives. But let's just say he does that. That is going to take up at least one armed response team, at least one bomb disposal team. They're going to have to deploy ambulances outside that block of flats because they're going to be expecting casualties, right? So straight away, they're sucking up resources. Now, counter to popular belief, a hostage rescue scenario, it takes a long time. We've all seen the movies where, you know, you get black clad guys kicking the door down and throwing grenades in. That is the worst case scenario, and that's the end of a negotiation. That's how it works. But it takes time. It takes a long time. All those resources are being soaked up. All right. So let's just say that happens in Manchester at 10 o'clock in the morning. All right. All the resources go. All right. Okay. Let's say that happens southern Manchester or whatever. Let's just say now, northern Manchester, the exact same incident happens. A man of no particular description, let's just say he's in a hotel now. A man in a hotel says the exact same thing, right? A man in a hotel now says the exact same thing in northern Manchester. You've got to deploy a firearms team. You've got to deploy a bomb disposal team. You've got to deploy ambulances. And they're gone now. They're soaked up there. They have to stay there. That firearms team can't leave that location because if, you know, there's a guy in there with a hostage and a gun, it's a bad day out, right? Now, let's just say it's 7 o'clock at night when before those situations have been diffused, the real attack comes. There's a real Manchester city centre now. Let's just say somebody goes stabby, shooty, rammy in Manchester city centre. You've got a lot of teams already being soaked up. Those firearms teams, they can't leave that location now. So now you see the multi-pronged attacks of these. Also, if you're, you know, like when I was in, where was it? Like Sheffield, I think it was earlier on this year or maybe last year. Again, the same thing happened. There was a guy in Sheffield city centre, and he said he had a firearm and explosives. He didn't. The amount of resources that took, all the city centre was closed down just for one guy. And I was thinking, wow, can you imagine? And you know, that could have been a rehearsal. that could have been a rehearsal, because what happens is all those people from those apartments, those flats, they got sent into the local leisure centre. And guess what? There's no security on the local leisure centre. You've got all these vulnerable people in a tight-knit space. So when we talk about a marauding terror attack, that's what I think is coming to the United Kingdom. I really do, guys. It's going to be a complicated attack involving lots of different aspects to achieve catastrophic offense, because we are not ready. And unfortunately, guys, in the United Kingdom, we are absolutely pussies when it comes to firearms. We are absolutely pussies when it comes to firearms. We are like the worst country in the world for firearms. We're terrified of them. You know, we're terrified of those shooty bang bang sticks. Shooty bang bang sticks. Sorry, guys, I've lost my track. So that the marauding terror attack, you know, that's what I believe is coming. Now, and the reason for that marauding terror attack, it will overwhelm responders. Absolutely, guys. It's going to overwhelm responders when it comes, and it will come, as per this MI6 guy. So it's against this backdrop. It's against this backdrop of what a sleeper cell is and a marauding terror attack. We need to listen to the words of Ayman Dean, the guy I just shared with you. Now, he's walked both sides. He was once a member of Al-Qaeda in the 90s. He defected and spent 8 years as a double agent working for the British Intelligence Service, infiltrating these terror networks and providing intelligence that thwarted multiple plots, including attempts to poison London's water supply. Guys, look, I've been warning about this stuff, right? You know when I warn about this stuff and say, hey, guys, listen, you kind of want to get yourself bottled water, right? You know when I've said that like probably thousands of times. Turns out, as per this article that I just shared with you guys, there have been plots to poison London's water supply. And again, I'm going to ask you this question again. Do you think right now, wherever you live in the United Kingdom, do you know where your local reservoir is? Do you know where your local water supply is? I would speculate the answer is yes. I would say it's like a nature reserve. It's probably got a cafe on it. People walk around it. Okay, next question. Would you be able to drive a vehicle within walking distance of that water supply? Again, I would speculate the answer is yes. A lot of them have got car parks. So now you understand the fragility of the water supply. Because normally we don't want to poison our water supply because we're drinking it ourselves, right? So this guy, he's foiled plots to poison London's water supply and a bomb on the New York Underground subway. Sorry. His inside knowledge is unparalleled. He trained in Afghanistan alongside Osama bin Laden's lieutenants and later risked his life to expose the group's inner workings. In his 2018 memoir, 9 Lives, and in a recent interview with The Sun, he published just days ago on the 27th of December, he has issued a stark warning of potential Al-Qaeda agents already living among us in the United Kingdom. Again, guys, look, the simple question is this. I don't know the answer. I would speculate they are, but I don't know. These people who come over on the boats, right? We don't know who they are. We know we don't know who they are because they don't have any identification. We're putting them up in hotels. We're feeding them. We're really supporting these people. My question to you is this. I mean, I think what are we on? Almost 50,000 have come over this year. Do we think out of those 50,000, one of them could be a sleeper agent? Maybe what about 2? Do you think 2 of them could be a sleeper? Could be sleeper agents? Do you think 1% of them could be sleeper agents? Even at 1%, that's a lot of people. That's it. That is enough to do a lot of damage. Now, let me ask you guys this question. All right, a lot of, for example, when I was sharing with you guys the biggest terror attack in the United Kingdom that was foiled, a lot of that that network, I mean, literally the first thing the first step to foiling that network was a Facebook request, right? You guys saw it on the little video we watched. So when you're looking now at the online presence of these people is a big way to infiltrate them, you know, these terror networks, these terror groups. What if, just hear me out, guys, what if, just literally hear me out, what if when these people are in these migrant camps, and remember, guys, look, I've been to these migrant camps. I've been to them, drove through them. On these migrant camps, do you think it would be possible for somebody to go up to someone and say, listen, mate, when you get to the, I'm going to give you $5,000 when you get to the United Kingdom. When you get there, I want you to turn up to this location at this time and you're going to be ready to do something. I'm going to pay you. Yeah. Do you think that would be possible for that to happen? Or do you think it's possible to tell someone, listen, mate, at this time, at this date, I want you to do this? If you tell them, speak to these people one-to-one when they're in these migrant camps in Calais or just outside Dunkirk, actually. If they're speaking to them, voice communication, and then they agree, they shake hands on it or whatever, where's the electronic trace from that? How do you then identify that person when he's got over? Like when that person gets over to the United Kingdom, how do you know what's like, how do you know what previous what mission briefings they've had? There's absolutely zero electronic trace from these guys. You know, you can hack their phones, they never make contact. That is what I think could be happening. Of course it could be happening. It may not be happening, guys. Okay, it may not be happening. Anyway, sorry, guys, I continue. So, guys, listen, if you're joining for the first time, I'm talking about an article that was released yesterday by this guy, Eamon Dean, who was living in, he lived undercover for 8 years, and he's warning that there are potentially hundreds of Al-Qaeda sleeper cells already living among us in the United Kingdom. I'm posing the question to you guys. Do you think there could be any living in these hotels, you know, that come over as boat migrants? Do we think any politicians? Do we think there are any politicians who could be sleeper cells? So, you know, so we've got this multi-pronged attack on the United Kingdom already, where we've got sleeper cells, we've got terrorist organizations, we've got NGOs who are destabilizing us, we've got vast amounts of subversion, and all these things are true. So anyway, this guy's saying that there could be hundreds of terrorist sleeper cells living in the United Kingdom, poised to strike at any moment. That's from the article he wrote, guys, okay? He asserts that the question is not if another devastating attack like 9/11, but when. And he's saying this could happen within days. According to Dean, these agents are part of a resurgent threat fueled by the spread of Islamic extremism and the growing Iranian influence. Remember, Iran and Russia are huge. Remember, guys, okay? Iran and Russia, you've got to take these two together. They are partners, they are bros, they are commercial partners, they're military partners. So when you hear Iran, you've got to understand the threat from Russia as well, because, like, if the Russians want chaos on the streets in the United Kingdom, you know, I don't think they care if, for example, if you think that Britain is leading the coalition of the willing, and if you think that Britain is looking like, you know, they're going to be having boots on the ground in Ukraine fighting the Russians, then Britain would be a Russian enemy. So because Britain is a Russian enemy, Britain would be an enemy of Russia's allies as well. And who are Russia allied with? Yes, Iran. There's a huge Iranian influence. The Iranians are great at this, guys. They're great at manipulating people online, getting them to do attacks and so forth. We've seen this all over the world. So, like I said, these agents are part of an growing resurgence. You know, this is fueled by the spread of Islamic extremism and the growing Iranian influence, which he identifies as the gravest dangers facing the West today. His alarm comes at time of heightened global tensions, where echoes of past atrocities resonate. Recent events like the December the 14th Bondi Beach shooting in Sydney, carried out by the father and son duo. Guys, can you remember? Of course you can remember. Just think about that ideology, all right? Think about that ideology. A father and son duo. They planned this attack, and they planned this attack not to be captured, not to be arrested. You guys know where I'm going with that, right? So that father, I'm just thinking how these minds work, okay? So that father must have been so far gone, he must have hated those people that they attacked more than he loved his own son. There's no other way around that. I think that statement's true. I don't think anybody can argue with that statement, guys. I really don't. Like I said, these, the father and son duo in Australia on Bondi Beach, they pledged allegiance to Islamic State, or the accidental ramming. All the rammings of parades that we've seen all over the West. We've seen car rammings, we've seen mass stabbings, and I think a lot of these get underreported. But his focus was on the UK's vulnerabilities. And he's saying, this is not me saying it, he's talking about the porous borders allowing extremists to embed online radicalization platforms, amplifying jihadi calls, and Iran's proxy networks, such as Hezbollah, potentially coordinating with Al-Qaeda remnants to exploit these gaps. So it's very difficult. People get confused. Oh, is it Al-Qaeda? Is it ISIS? Is it Daesh? It doesn't really matter, guys. It doesn't really matter. The way you deal with them is the same. But I think, well, I know actually that these different organizations, they just confuse people. Oh, that wasn't an attack by Al-Qaeda. That was an attack by ISIS. Oh, that wasn't a terror attack. That was a lone wolf attack. And I get it. These things are difficult they're difficult to understand, and people get frustrated with them. But there's lots of different definitions, and it does get technical, and it's a bit weird. So he draws from his own experience, haunted by intelligence he provided that arrived too late to prevent 9/11, and warns that similar oversights could reoccur amid strained resources for MI5 and MI6. There is no mere speculation. This is no mere speculation. UK counter-terrorism officials have foiled over 40 plots since 2017, many inspired by Islamist ideologies, and the threat level remains at substantial. Now, this is not, I get called, oh, Sean, he's spinning fake news again. When this happens, and I do think it's coming. You know what, guys? It doesn't matter what I think. Dino thinks it's coming. It's not paranoia. In this, where we are now in this world, with rising tensions, we've got this migration. I don't even know if I can call it migration. We've got literally thousands of new people coming to the United Kingdom every day. I would say that is a threat. I would. We don't know. I would say that is a potential threat. If you want to saturate the ground of if you want to saturate the ground of another country with your own soldiers, what are you going to do? You're going to send airplanes and parachute these guys in, You're going to send the amphibious landing craft? Or are you just going to trickle feed these guys in slowly and get your enemy nation to pay for them themselves? I mean, it's a fantastic tactic, And this is what people don't understand about asymmetric warfare. All these generals and colonels that come on the TV and they give their the British military, we have... Shut up! Shut up, you idiot! A lot of these people do not understand asymmetric warfare. They don't have any idea what's coming, because the problem is the people who advise the government, for example, the person like Keir Starmer's top military advisor, you would suspect he's the top military chief, right? You would, wouldn't you? Because like Keir Starmer wants to know what's happening militarily. So he's going to ask the military guys, right? The problem with asking the military guys, they only know the military. They only know their military. For example, would you speak to, for example, who do you think's got the best experience here, right? Okay, out of these two people, like a global experience, I don't know. Okay, a colonel or brigadier in the army, right? A brigadier in the British military. He's spent, I don't know, 26 years or whatever in the British military, and now he's a brigadier. Do you think he's got the best experience about, you know, what's happening on a global spectrum because he's a brigadier? Or do you think it's a private soldier who did 6 years in the British military? He then went and did 4 years in the French Foreign Legion. He then went and trained, I don't know, the Iraqi army. He then went and, you get what I'm saying, okay? He's somebody with a load of experience who's not a brigadier, but he's got like a lot of experience in all these different countries, but he's a mister. Which one of those people do you think has more inside knowledge of the, you know, the spread of things? It's this guy, right? Who do you think the government are going to ask for information? It's this guy, right? Because he's a brigadier. And that's the problem. That's the problem. It's, you know, I'm sorry, I'm sticking to counterterrorism today, guys. I'm sticking to counterterrorism. I'm not going on, I may touch on global wars. So, in this era of, you know, mass migration, geopolitical fractures, you know, we've got the war in Ukraine, we've got hybrid threats, we've got prophecies of doom. You know, we've got these prophecies of doom. Just remember what I keep saying, guys, okay? I may do a shorter video. I think I'm going to do a shorter. Do you know what? I'm going to probably do a shorter video on it again later on today. If you're in one of these situations, guys, just remember the scenario, run, hide, and fight. And if you do have to fight, remember a lot of these guys who are doing these attacks are absolute, they're absolute weaklings, okay? They're absolute weaklings. You guys saw, you know, you guys saw the Sydney attack, the Bondi Beach attack, how easy that guy was disarmed. And again, this should only be a last resort. You guys saw, I was sharing it the other day, the when that guy got arrested, the you know, this guy that what was his name? I can't remember his name. The guy that got arrested who was planning the mass attack on the United Kingdom, he got arrested, and you know, he was just a, you know, he was a chubby weakling. He was. You know, he was a chubby weakling. You know, we have these images of these bad guys, like these tough, you know, these brilliant. They're not. So the shadows are lengthening, guys. You know, the shadows are lengthening, and like this guy's saying in this article, it really is, you know, he's saying there the terror attack in the United Kingdom could happen within days. He's talking about sleeper cells. He's talking about 9/11 style attacks. He's talking about marauding terror attacks. Right, guys, listen, let me jump up and get some, in fact, let me share, I'll share this with you again. So for those of you guys who don't know, if you're joining now on the first time, where is it? This one. This is what I was talking about. Okay. So I need to do this because I don't want to get the video taken down. So this is what I was working from this morning, guys. Okay. In the shadows, this guy was immersed in London's terrorist underbelly as sleeper cell agents planned new 9/11 type attack, and it's coming any day, says ex MI6 spy. Remember, there's no organization called MI6, it's Secret Intelligence Service. Anyway, what else have I got? I think I've done that. Yeah, I've got a Putin video to share with you guys as well. But let me get some comments on the chat. Good evening, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everybody. Right, it's quite a lot on the chat. Templar Matt is saying 100% Narwhal man was armed with a tusk and took control of the situation. I believe the public needs. I don't believe the public need to be armed, guys. I don't think we should be giving guns to the public. I don't think we should be giving guns to the public. I think it's a bad thing. What I do think, though, is if we do see one of these mass events happen where bad guys are on the street, it's like, look, guys, I've said this so many times. Do you think that these people that are coming over in the rubber dinghies, do you think any of them are getting through without being intercepted? I would say they are. And if they, and if they're getting over in, and if these gangs are coming over without being intercepted, do you think? I mean, for example, look, guys, I'm just thinking about this out loud. Like, like we're all seeing these rubber dinghies come over, right? The big rubber dinghies. What about if it's like a pleasure yacht? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if one of those things would get, like, if you, these like, I don't know, Princess 28 or something. Like, if one of these pleasure yachts, like a small pleasure yacht, is just marauding, like slowly sailing near UK waters, right? I'm just thinking out loud. And then there's no RNLI there because it's not a big rubber dinghy. And they send a little rubber dinghy one way to the shore, maybe by Ramsgate or Folkestone. Wouldn't that be a better way to get contraband in? And I'm just thinking out loud, guys. I'm literally just thinking out loud when I said that. So that may be another way. Do you know what, guys? I'm going to say that is the primary method. It makes more sense, right? You have everything on a yacht. That yacht sails within like 10 miles. I don't know how close you're allowed to sail into the United Kingdom. They sail close to the United Kingdom. And then when they're a couple of miles off the shore, they just send a rubber dinghy one way. Couple of guys on it, they've got contraband, middle of the night. Like, do you think that's happening? Jesus. Imagine how easy that would be. Seriously. So you start flood, guys, I'm thinking out loud. So you flood the shores of the United Kingdom, like, I don't know, say on a Monday, right? On a Monday, you absolutely bombard the shores of the United Kingdom with the rubber dinghies. You overwhelm the RNLI. And then, I don't know, 20, 30 miles away, Ramsgate, Deal, Folkestone, you have a private yacht registered to somewhere, and that private yacht has a rubber dinghy on the back of it, a small rubber dinghy, a really fast one. They drop that off the back, and that goes one way to the shores of the United Kingdom with a shit ton of contraband. Do you think that's happening? Do you think that's happened? I would say it has. So I do think these firearms are in the United Kingdom already. I do. I think they're in the hands of the bad guys. I think that drones will be used. Let me ask you guys another question. I'm only asking simple questions here, guys. Do you think that people who know how to build military-style drones, and they learned how to do this in Ukraine, in Russia, do you think those people have managed to make their way over on small boats? Sheffield. Debbie Doobs is saying, I remember the Sheffield thing. Yeah, these are... These are things that are happening, guys, and they take up a ton of resources. AJ Aesthetics is saying, look at the Russian poison incident in Salisbury. It was easy for them, undetected. Not exactly sleeper cells, but we know Robert Maxwell and Mossad can presume his daughter is, therefore can presume Epstein was. Not really a sleeper cell, but definitely worth a look. So if you guys don't know, there is a direct link to Keir Starmer and Robert Maxwell. Like, and none of the mainstream media, like literally you can go on Wikipedia, right? Literally, guys, you can go on Wikipedia and within maybe 3 clicks of Wikipedia, you get a link between Robert Maxwell and Keir Starmer. But of course, Keir Starmer is totally British. He's totally on side. He's not being subverted. He's not a bad guy. Keir Starmer's with us. David O'Rourke is saying the use of 3D print weapons in Europe is on at highest level. Yeah. A lot of parts for drones are 3D printed. So a lot of the, I guess this is open source. So a lot of the, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of the, so for example, I don't know, whatever drone you're thinking of, you will need to put a cradle on that and a release mechanism. A lot of these things are 3D printed. Now, the emergence of 3D printing these things means if you're a bad guy now, you don't need to smuggle those parts through customs. You literally get them emailed, right? So when you think about 3D printing, just think about one of these drones now. I'm so glad I printed this off. So think about these drones now, right? So underneath that, you would have, that would be your payload. This one's got a camera, but if you wanted to put, for example, a hand grenade on that, you would need something to hold that hand grenade and you would need something to release that hand grenade. And although it sounds simple, it is relatively complicated because, you know, you kind of need to pull the pin, put the hand grenade in, secure it, and then that needs to, you need to have a release mechanism. So it's probably a stepper motor or something. I had some around here, actually. I did have some. It would probably be a stepper motor or something. So all these things are 3D printed now. So the use of 3D printing, rather than the security services looking for these drone parts and the and these breakaway systems, the terrorists, they don't need to smuggle them in anymore. They just get them emailed and then they print them off. And I don't know, guys, it's pretty hard to stop, it's pretty hard to stop an email, or you can put it on a memory card, or you can have it as an encrypted file on your phone. Is London fireworks going ahead this year? I don't know. I mean, I would assume that Sadiq Khan's cancelled it because it might be haram. Most drones have a flip function. Okay. Okay, right. Just flip the drone, item falls. Okay. You can't really. Okay, so you can't really flip it. You can't really put it in a cradle at the top and flip it. There's too many things that can go wrong. If it gets a gust of wind, something might fall out. It's just not really it's not really a thing you can do. You would need that. If you have for example, if they have a kilo. If you have a kilo on the top of a drone here, it will mess up the center of gravity. So, for example, let me imagine my phone is the drone. If you put a weight on the top, it will naturally want to take it, and it messes up with its center of gravity. If you have it on the bottom, it's naturally pulling down like gravity, and it's actually more stable if you have the weight on the bottom. So it will mess up the aerodynamics. Not the aerodynamics, the flight characteristics. Right, so I've got a video to share with you guys now. Now I know I said I wasn't going to go Putin, but I am going to go Putin slightly, and I will be talking more about this later on today. So when we talk about the terror threat in the United Kingdom, this is predominantly, like we saw in the article that I've shared with you guys 2 times. The terror threat in the United Kingdom is predominantly perceived to be from Iran. Now, if this is predominantly perceived from Iran, you've got to understand that the Iranian allies are, they are allied with Russia. Now, if you guys think that we are looking like we're going to have a war with Russia, I do. then you've got to perceive that now Russia and Iran are working together. So would it be beyond the realms of possibility that Russia, Vladimir Putin, could say to one of his mates in Iran, hey, mate, can you open up a couple of them sleeper cells? Open up a couple, crack open a few sleeper cells in the United Kingdom this year and do some swizzles, I would say it absolutely is. So let me share this Putin video with you guys. I thought with translations. This may be the wrong video, guys. Hang on.
Whether we are interested in Ukraine withdrawing its troops from the areas under their control, we're not really interested about that. If the Kiev authorities do not want peace, we will deliver on all the objective of the special military operation by military means.
Okay, I don't know if you got that there. I thought the translation was better. I think I'll stop sharing that now. Basically, in short, what Putin's saying, and I think this was from yesterday. Yeah, so this was from yesterday. So I don't know if you guys know. So Putin, yesterday, he gave a speech, and one of the things he said is, and it doesn't make sense, but this is what he said. The translation might be wrong. If Kiev does not want peace, Russia will achieve all special military operations goals by military means. So, first of all, let's unpack that statement, all right? Let's unpack that statement. If you don't want peace, we are going to achieve our military operation goals. Now, I'll be quite clear. I've been following this from since 2013, all right? I've been following this since 2013. Nowhere, ever, and there isn't a document, there isn't a speech where anyone from Russia, high up, identifies what these military goals are. So it's like me saying, yep, I've got some special military goals I want to achieve, but I'm not telling you what they are. And I know it sounds like it's a fundamental problem that nobody's addressing. Right, Vladimir, what are your special military operation goals? Do you know what? Let me just Google this. It may have changed. Putin said that Russia was acting in self-defense, that his goal was the demilitarization of Ukraine, and claimed that Russia has no plans to occupy Ukrainian land. So, yeah. So demilitarization of Ukraine. What does that mean? Literally, what does that mean? So I think what he's saying here, first of all, he's not really saying anything. What he said was, what Putin was saying was, if Kiev does not want peace, Russia will achieve all special military operation goals by military means. So, first of all, we don't know what those are. If he's saying, if it's true what he was, that statement before, that he wants to demilitarize Ukraine, that is a full occupation of Ukraine. But then he's saying he doesn't want to take Ukrainian land. So it's very vague what they actually want to achieve in Ukraine. However, the reason I'm sharing that video with you guys, and the reason I've just thought I brought that to everybody's forefront, is because the Britain looks like they're going to be fighting a war with Russia, and I would say Russia will activate sleeper cells in the United Kingdom. Templar Matt is saying, Sean, I'm just wondering why you are so against the public protecting themselves against bad people with any sort. Okay, I'm not. I'm absolutely not, guys. I'm against people in the United Kingdom. I'm against people in the United Kingdom having firearms. I am. I'm against people in the United Kingdom having firearms. That's what I don't think should be a thing. I don't think right now. I think right now, if gun laws were relaxed in the United Kingdom, we would see an uptick in gun violence. We would. So right now in the United Kingdom, gun violence is relatively low. It's relatively low. And I think that once you open that can and say, right, okay, we're going to open gun laws in the United Kingdom. We're going to make it easy for people to, you know, access firearms, and we're going to relax the laws. The bad guys will get their hands on weapons, and ultimately that will be a bad thing. Now, in the United States, they have a totally different system, right? In the United States, like, I think somebody did a statistic, and it's like a metric, like how many firearms are in the country as opposed to the people. So I think, like, I don't know, like in Sweden, it's like 1 firearm per 100 people. In, like, I don't know, in Russia, it's maybe like 6 firearms per 100 people. Like in America, it's like, I don't know, 130 firearms per 100 people. So in the United States, it's totally different because of the amount of firearms that are already in the United States. So everybody's got firearms in the United States. So it's like, yeah, we've got them now. We can't really walk this back. In the United Kingdom, if they change those gun laws, bad people will go through legal chains to get those firearms, right? And good people, they'll be like, well, I don't fucking want one. Why do I want to carry those things? They're heavy. They pull your trousers down. You've got to have maggots. It's just a faff. So that's why I don't want. That's why I don't think people in the United Kingdom should. I don't think the gun law should be changed in the United Kingdom yet. If we start to see an uptick in firearms incidents in the United Kingdom, yes, of course, that needs to be readdressed. And like, for example, if we saw a masses of firearms incidents in the United Kingdom where people were shooting each other, you had gang violence, shooting across the streets. Yes, of course, you need to think, right, okay, we just need to let everybody shoot now. But we have a totally different system in the UK. I hope I've answered that. Yeah, there was so I spoke about this last night. I spoke about this last night, guys. There was a huge drone attack on Ukraine over the hang on. There was a huge drone attack over Ukraine over Christmas. Now, I don't know the exact numbers over the Christmas period, but that night, I think it was the what was it? It was the 25th or the 26th. There was 500 drones attacked in one night. This is in one night. 500 drones hit Kiev. Now, that is an industrial strike. It's an industrial action, that, guys. You know, it's that they are not precision weapons. That, well, I guess you could argue they're precision weapons. I wouldn't. And they're these. So when we talk about drones, you've got these type. These are the type, the fixed wing type drones. They're the Shahed type drones. They're the ones that went into Ukraine. Now, they're the ones that are being produced at an industrial, at an industrial rate. And it really does, like, we can't manufacture. We can't out-manufacture the Russians at the moment. And I've said this quite a few times. You get these people, you get these half-baked, politicians, and they're coming out and they're saying, like these military generals saying, yes, we can outspend Russia. We are spending this much on defense. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much you're spending. Doesn't matter how much you're spending if the bad guys are producing more than you. It really doesn't. Right, okay, so if I'm spending, for example, let's just say I'm spending 100 grand on that drone. Let's just say that drone cost me 100 grand. All right? And I've got one of them. Yeah? And let's just say Russia are spending 1,000 quid on them, right? Like, and it's the same thing, right? You know, because things are cheaper. You know, here in the West, to produce that here in the West for the military with an explosive charge in the front, the red tape and the authorization that you would have to have, it would put the price up to around 100 grand. In Russia, you may be able to produce these. You can produce them for a lot less. Obviously, there are some components that you can't really get cheaper, but let's just say that here in the United Kingdom, we are spending 100 grand on this drone, right? And let's just say the Russians are building the exact same drone, but they're building it for 1,000 quid, right? And the Russians spend 50 grand on drones, right? And we spend 100 grand on drones. Who's outspending who? Britain are outspending Russia. Yay! Raise taxes, we're outspending Russia. Who's producing more stuff? And in that war, when we've got one drone to fire against their 50, who do you think comes out on top? Lisa Jane is saying, Sean, Zelensky is meeting up with President Trump today. What do you think will be the outcome? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I think they'll come out, they'll say, Donald Trump will say, we had a great meeting. We got a lot of progress made. I think we're close to a peace deal. We're real close to a peace deal. I need to speak to Vladimir Putin. I need to speak to Putin. So I think that's what will happen. Zelensky will come out. He'll shake hands. He'll be, yes, I had a great meeting with Putin. We are very close to peace deal. And nothing will happen. Nothing. Zero shit will go down. There's not going to be a peace deal. There's not going to be it's just not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. To later on tonight, I've got quite a few Putin videos and Ukraine videos to share. But later on tonight, guys, when we talk about this, that will be the outcome. And you guys can look back at this video and you can say, yeah, nothing really happened. Nothing really happened. Sorry. Let me jump down, guys. Let me jump down. Four Paws is saying, Leroy, that explains your antics last night. You were obviously worried sick about him. All right, okay, I don't know what that means. JK is saying NATO policies are outdated and essentially are useless. What's happening in the Russian front? The problem with NATO is you've got 30 nations. So you've got 30 chefs, right? So you've got all the ingredients. All right, you've got right. So imagine a restaurant. All right, imagine two restaurants. Imagine two restaurants. Right, you've got a Russian restaurant. All right, you've got a Russian restaurant, and they have got they have got 10 ingredients. All right, you can call it tanks, drones, conscripts. I don't know what else. Spetsnaz. In fact, let's do it 5. We've got tanks, drones, conscripts, Spetsnaz, which would be Russian Special Forces, and I don't know. Somebody think of another one that the Russians use. Let's just we've got 4. They've got 4 ingredients, right? They've got 4 ingredients. So yeah, tanks, Shahed drones, Spetsnaz, and conscripts. They're Russia's 4 ingredients, all right? It's a restaurant, so analogize that to whatever ingredients you guys want to. And then you look at, they've got 1 chef. Look at NATO. You've got 30 nations, so you've got 30 chefs straight away, 30 different chefs. They've got, I don't know how many ingredients they've got. I don't. So you've got each country will have different tanks that are not interoperable. They will have different drones that have different flight characteristics and different aerodynamics with different payloads that are not interchangeable, different weapon systems with different calibers that are not interchangeable. All right. So imagine these as restaurants. All right. Which restaurant has more stuff? This one. Which restaurant is going to feed more people quickly? This one. It's simplicity. Simplicity wins a lot of times. Sean, we don't need to relax the laws. Everyone should still have a license and register their guns. Just get a license, people, carry them bad people. We look. Okay, so when we're talking about firearms licensing here, guys. Okay, we're talking about we're talking about firearms licenses here. The problem here, right? Normal people are not going to want to carry a firearm. We don't have that culture here in the United Kingdom. It's not a thing. So if the gun laws were relaxed, I can pretty much guarantee these sleeper cells that we were just talking about would say, oh, I don't need to smuggle them in anymore. I can just buy them here. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to buy them. That's what would happen. Now, if you look at this ideology, right, I don't think if you look at this ideology, and when these bad guys want to do an attack, they kind of don't want to get arrested, basically. When they start these attacks, they don't want to get arrested. They want that attack to finish another way. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? They want to go and be martyred and get their 72 virgins. So in that context, do you think the bad people would be worried about having their gun license revoked? Absolutely not. So I will be quite firm on that, guys. I don't think the gun laws should be real. Oh, we don't need to relax the gun laws. Everyone should still have a license and register their guns. Just let licensed people carry. It's not practical. It's absolutely not practical it's not practical to go to Asda with a shotgun, because I think the laws in the United Kingdom are still that you have to have these concealed. So you have to have I don't know. I genuinely, I'm not 100. I don't know. I might be wrong on this. It may be. I'm pretty sure that the firearms laws, guys. Somebody help me out in the chat. I'm pretty sure in the United Kingdom the firearms laws are, you can only carry a firearm if you're going to or from the place that you're using it. So carrying that thing around in Asda, it's illegal. All right, it is. It's absolutely illegal. So you would need to relax the firearms laws. Why would Russia create drones in the UK when the UK is imploding itself? Bringing war would unite, which would be negative to Russia. Is there? Okay, so we're talking about asymmetric warfare here. This would never be, this would never be blamed on the. This would never be blamed on the Russians. This would be blamed on Islamic fundamentalists. Coming from Iran under the influence of Russia. Right, let me jump down, guys, and get some comments. Yes, Sean, bad people are bad and good people are good. Yeah, okay. Right. First of all, it's illegal to, right, I'm not sure, listen, guys, I'm not sure, I'm not 100% sure of the gun laws in the United Kingdom. Do you know what? Let me Google this. Give me a second. I don't even want to Google this. I'm not going to Google it because I don't want it on my search history. But as I understand the gun laws in the United Kingdom, right, I don't think they need to be relaxed. I don't think they need to be relaxed. I don't think people should start carrying, I don't think people should start carrying firearms in Asda. I don't think that's a thing. As I understand it, though, if you have a firearms license in the United Kingdom, and I know there are a few people who do have firearms licenses here, so please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm 100. I don't know. But I don't think you're allowed to carry a firearm in the United Kingdom. Even if you've got a license, the only place you can carry that firearm is if you're going to or from the place that you're going to use it. So, if you're going out with the kids and you've got a shotgun strapped over your shoulder, I don't think you're allowed shotguns in play centers. I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you're not allowed shotguns in play centers. The real thing that would, if we did, for example, have a situation in the United Kingdom where there were mass shootings everywhere, then I would say there needs to be a reevaluation of the firearms laws and reevaluation of people's rights to self-defense. And I think the tool that would stop most of those mass attacks is pistols. I think it would be pistols. I don't think it's long rifles, because they're guys. Look, if anybody's ever carried a rifle, it's unpractical. It's really unpractical. Where do you put them when you're in the car? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to have that on your back when you're in the car. You're going to have a rifle across your chest when you're driving. It's just impractical to carry a rifle around. So it would be pistols. JK is saying, according to NATO Article 5, it's supposed to be involved when any NATO country has been violated. I hate when countries get violated by military forces. They are foreign adversary, Finland. Right. Okay, so NATO Article 5 says, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, guys. So NATO Article 5 says, I've read the whole document. It's not as potent as people think. NATO Article 5 states that an attack on one member state is deemed an attack on all member states. The NATO Security Council will convene and take whatever action necessary to bring peace and stability back to that region. Something like that. So it basically means nothing. Article 5 means nothing, guys. It's not worth the paper it's written on. Article 4, however, does. Article 4 does. Violating these laws carries severe penalties up to 7 years in prison. Look, guys, let me be quite clear, right? Let me be quite clear on this when I talk about firearms, all right? I've been a tactical firearms instructor, like, God, I don't know, since maybe, I mean, what do you mean by tactical firearms instructor? I've taught people how to use firearms and tactics probably since 2003, maybe 2004. So over 20 years. Over 20 years, I've taught people how to use firearms, and I'm saying with 100%, like I won't change this opinion. I don't think that the firearms laws in the United Kingdom need relaxing. We don't have mass shootings in the United Kingdom. If we relaxed firearms laws in the United Kingdom, we would get mass shootings. Now, I'm saying that as someone who actually, like, if you gave, like, I would feel safer, but on a whole, I don't think those things need to be really reduced, guys. I really don't. Templar Matty say 90% of knife crime are from kitchen knives. Yes. So can you imagine now if we opened that up and let people have firearms? It would be insane. It would be insanity. It would be like, all right, relaxing the gun laws in the United Kingdom would be like opening the gates and letting anybody come into our country without showing any ID, it would be like opening the floodgates in the United Kingdom to anyone that wanted to come in without even asking who they are. Use DuckDuckGo, Sean. I don't know what that. Oh, with my I don't want to change that. I'm fine, guys. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just looked at the time. I am going to close this down now. The crux of this live stream, I'll share this again, was this article here that was released, I think it was yesterday. In the shadows, I was immersed in London's terrorist underbelly as a sleeper agent, planned a new 9/11 attack. It's coming any day, says ex-MI6 spy. Now, this guy, he was embedded inside terror networks. And what he's saying is there are potentially hundreds of terrorists terrorist sleeper cells embedded in the United Kingdom. Now, I'm going to ask a question, and I asked this question earlier on. Do you think that there are any of these boat migrants that are coming over with no identification, no, they don't speak English, well, they claim they don't speak English, with nothing? Do you think any of those could be sleeper cells? I would say the likelihood is high, but, let me know what you guys think. So for those of you guys, just for context, a sleeper cell would be a covert group of operatives, often embedded deep within a society. So, I mean, you could even have judges, you could have politicians, you could have police chiefs, you could have local councillors. All these people could be sleeper cells. And, we all think that the sleeper cell is going to do the big, the big kaboomer or the big rammy. A sleeper cell agent could be someone who's working at customs and forgets to check passports, sees a vehicle come, doesn't look at the registration, or sees a certain registration and does not search that vehicle. It could be a politician who is, excuse me, it could be a politician who is pushing for a certain influence in a country. These are all sleeper cells. These are things that these are sleeper cells. I've been warning about a complicated terror attack for a long time. I do think it's on the cards. The British government have renamed it a marauding terror attack, which would be a mobile assault using multiple teams or multiple lone wolf attacks or multiple attackers, and these would be doing either shooty, stabby, rammy, blowy. There will be that's what I do think is coming. We've already seen these plots foiled in the United Kingdom, and this article I just shared with you guys there, he's saying that UK terror attack within days. And that was his warning, guys. That's not me. That was his warning. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. You guys have been, what have you been this morning? You've been fantastic, articulate, and you've all been relatively well behaved as well. And you guys have all been relatively well behaved as well. Even Leroy's been well behaved. Matt saying 100%. Friday fans open panel. I don't know how I do that. I'll try and do that. I think I can do that. I think I can get 10. I think I can get 10 people on that, but I don't know how I'd do that. I don't know how I'd get that to you. Let me have a think about that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am gonna hang on. Up the hill and around the corner is saying GCHQ could be a sleeper cell. And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bid you good morning. I'll be back on later tonight, guys. In fact, you know what? I'm going to be back on this afternoon, and I'm going to do a real quick video on Run, Hide, Fight. It'll be like a 10-minute video, maybe even less. I'm just literally going to run through that because like this warning is here, UK terror attack within days. That's the warning. I'm surprised that one of these things have not happened already. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close you guys down now. You've been fantastic and well behaved and very well behaved. And I'll see you in the afternoon, but I'll see you back on for a full spectrum live stream later on this afternoon, guys. I'll see you later at 8 o'clock, maybe before.